Previously on Higurashi When They Cry console arcs.
園崎組の事務所の鍵、全部取っ替えてください。
Oh, that works.
今日中に。
Shion, Kasai, and even Rika-chan beside me all stared at me stunned. At any rate, that reaction alone made it all worth it.
ちょっと待ってくださいよ。そんなのいきなり言われたって、業者さんの手配だけでも数日はかかりますよ。
ああ、だから鍵を変えるっていうよりも、ドアごと変えてくれ。例えば、隣のフォームが似た部屋とか、ドアの付け替えなら、日曜大工の延長で可能だろ？
いやー、まあ、そりゃ数十分もあれば。
理由は、例えば、立て付けが悪いから隣と入れ替えて様子を見るってことで。あ、これはもちろん、リナたちには秘密だぜ。
ですが、失礼ですが前原さん。連中は、おそらくキーチェーンごと盗み出した可能性があります。一つがダメだったら、他の鍵を試してみるのでは？
That's a good point.
笠井さん、知ってますか？コピーしたての鍵って、ものすごく回しにくいんですよね。
まあ、確かに。
ケイちゃん、ついでだから教えておきます。その、鉄平ってやつのこと。
Why am I getting an uncomfortable feeling from this?
ん？
さっき、帰り際にマスターから聞いたんですが、鉄平とその相方のリナ、最近また、大口のカモを見つけたって言っていました。
それがどうかしたのか？
It's Reina's father, isn't it?
その相手の名字が、竜宮だそうです。
Before I could even react, Rika-chan gasped in astonishment. Ryugu. Could it be that Rina was targeting Reina's father with her marriage fraud scheme?
ここで、あれが来るなんて、神様はやっぱり、性悪なのでしょうか。
Rika-chan clenched her fists.
リカちゃんにもできる努力があったのに、しなかった。
Reina's words from back then suddenly came back to me. It was a shock like being splashed with cold water. In that moment, I couldn't say anything back, like I was completely frozen. Her words denounced my failure to make an effort last year. And now, I could only look back on the scars of those past memories. The regret, disappointment, and guilt couldn't be put into words. Even now, they blame me, and I feel deep pain every time I see Sadako remembering Satoshi. At that time, the power to break my destiny. No, if only I had the thoughts and will to do it. Then the tragedy Reina caused would never have begun at all.
それ、本当か？
Reina experienced that tragedy in a previous world. The sorrowful world that drove Reina to protect her home. Her father was being deceived in a marriage scam designed to rob him, so Reina murdered Rina Mamiya and her accomplice Tepe Hojo with her own hands. But the story didn't end there. Her guilt and regret fostered paranoia, making her distrust her friends, eventually leading to tragedy.
Bokuはまだ努力が足りなかったのですね。
As I muttered that, I drooped my head. After being reincarnated thousands of times, the same conversations continued happening over and over, like a broken record. As a result, I stopped contributing the moment I could foresee how things would develop. I'd say this is how it is, and resign myself. I probably missed a few opportunities in there.
リカちゃん
Keiichi plopped a hand on my head and gently stroked my hair. I could feel the soft, comfortable touch through my hair. My cheeks started turning red, just a little bit.
ケイイチ
できることがあるならそれを全力でやろうぜ。結果は後からついてくるし、それに失敗してもまた別の方法を考えればいいさ。
Keiichi smiled as he said that. When I saw that, I finally began to smile too. Honestly, you really are such an incredibly kind-hearted person.
実は俺たちレナに話があるんだ。
Keiichi cut through the calm, peaceful atmosphere. Rina immediately looked puzzled by his firm tone.
何かな
レナの親父さんの話だ。
お父さんの
Reina's face suddenly clouded over. Naturally, anyone would be anxious after suddenly being told they need to hear something about their father. But this is for everyone's sake, including Rena, in order to make everyone happy. Deep in my heart, I was thankful that Keiichi took the initiative in talking to Rena.
実は俺たちレナのお父さんらしい人の話をシオンから聞いてさ。
しーちゃんからなんだろう
Rena's eyes were anxiously shaking. She could probably tell from the look on our faces that it wasn't a very pleasant story. So, right then, I addressed Rena.
はっきり言う。レナ、そのマミヤリナってのは詐欺師だ。男と組んで結婚詐欺を働いてる。
え？
リナは最近Hinamizawaにカモを見つけたって言いふらしてるらしい。そしてその時の話で出てきた名字が竜宮だったそうだ。
証拠は？
これもシオンからの情報だ。リナは物持ちのいい相手を見つけてはいいよって多額の金品をせしめているってな。その店でも有名になっているそうだ。
大人なんだからプレゼントだって高いものになるよ。そんなのお父さんの自由じゃないかな。
なら正直に聞くけどさ、普通結婚まで考えてる相手にそこまでお金を使わせるものなのか？それに俺がもしレナとそんな関係になったとしたら。
お断りだね。レナにだって選ぶ権利はあるよ。こんな風におせっかい風吹かせて嫌なこといっぱい言ってくる人のお嫁さんになんか絶対なりたくない。お社様は言ったの。
Oh dear, the red text. The red text is back!
敵意を捨てなさいって。お父さんの幸せを心から願いなさいって。だからレナはリナさんとの結婚を祝福するの。でなきゃまたたたられちゃう。また変な色のお薬飲まされちゃう。レナの勝手な思い込みでせっかくお父さんが掴んだ幸せが壊れちゃったら、またお社様がレナのところに来ちゃう。レナが悪い子だっていっぱい責めて、ひたひたって後ろを追いかけて、ごめんなさいって謝ってもずっとひたペタペタってついてきて。
落ち着くのです、レナ。誰もいないのです。レナも悪いことをしていないからたたられることはないのです。
早く捨てないとお社様の力が消えて、私はまた体を何かに乗っ取られてしまう。お社様がついてくるよ。そして早くと私にささやくの。どこまでもついてきて急げと私をせがす。いつまでもどこまでもついてきてずっと言い続けるの。本当だよ、本当だってば。なんでみんなには見えないの？私の言うことなぜ信じないの？みんなで私を騙してるんだ。みんなにも見えているはずなんだ。やめて、もう注射は嫌。
レナ
And then, while behaving completely normally around us, she she succeeded in luring Rena and Mamiya to her secret hiding place in the trash heap, and killed her by slicing her head open with a hatchet. As a result, Teppei Hojo was unable to continue living in Okinomiya, so he returned to Hinamizawa and dragged Sadako back to the Hojo household to live with him. Unwilling to let anyone trample on her everyday life, when Rena learned of that, she murdered Teppei as well. Rip. And the unimaginable speed at which it all unfolded made it impossible for Rika-chan and me to stop her. And when we finally learned the truth behind Reina's crimes, we wanted to do what we could to protect her. So, we worked with Mion to cover up the crime. I never believed that was the right thing to do, but we had no other choice. We couldn't just hand Rena over to the police. But even so, Reina's violent tendencies wouldn't stop. She was betrayed by everything she believed in, even God. So, her heart had probably already collapsed. Rena could no longer trust anyone, so she was terrified we might tell the police what we saw. And that fear drove her to kill Mion with her own hands. Keiichi-kun, after you, Rika-chan comes next. Rest easy. That was the last thing I ever heard from Rena.
おいおい、どうしたんだよ。
レナ、どうしたのですか？何かあったのですか？なんかね、家具が。
家具？家具がどうしたんだ？
お父さんが大量に家具を注文してたみたいなの。レナ、全然知らなかった。
Reina's lips were shaking and her eyes were open wide. Sensing that she was in pain, Keiichi put his hands on her shoulders and tried to cheer her up.
レナの親父さん、内緒で模様替えか何かするつもりだったんじゃないのか？ほら、サプライズのつもりでさ。
だけど、全然お父さんの趣味じゃないの。
Deep down, Rena had already made up her mind. Her manner of speaking made that clear.
あんな派手な家具、お父さん選ぶはずない。
リカちゃん。
And so it continues. Greetings, my name is Neosekken and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. So, we're not off to a good start when it comes to helping Rena out of her issues, I'd say, all things considered. Oh no, looks like we got a few extra speed hurdles that we gotta hop over. And pray that we don't mess up along the way. Otherwise, we're fucked. We paid a visit to the real estate agency in Okinomiya listed on that document. The situation there was even worse than what we heard from Shion. And we found staggering new information.
ああ、間宮律子さんの物件ですね。ええ、予約を受けたまっております。
I was a bit surprised to learn that Rina Mamiya wasn't her real name. Completely defied common sense to hide your real name from someone you were planning to marry. However, Rina's complexion transformed it to a deep blue, then to a ghostly pale as we spoke with the agent. And Keiichi standing behind her had intense anger dyeing his face red. And my face probably looked just like Keiichi's. When I opened my palms, I could clearly see the marks from my nails digging into my clenched fists. Rina Mamiya, or to use her real name, Ritsuko Mamiya, was planning to live with another man in that apartment. The proof of that was that another person besides Reina's father was listed on the reservation form. A name I didn't recognize, that was different from Teppei Hojo's. Maybe she was planning to cut ties with Teppei after robbing the money from Reina's father. Considering that she didn't include Teppei in her plan to rob the Sonozakis, It didn't sound that unrealistic. She is a real backstabber, this woman. Still, this apartment costs more than all the money from cashing out that investment, doesn't it? Keiichi brought up a valid point when he muttered that. In other words, Rina was trying to make up the difference by stealing money from the Sonozakis. Her greed was astounding and shameless. If not for the problems it would cause Sadako, I'd even want to murder such a despicable woman.
嘘だ。
レナ、
嘘だ。
After that, we somehow managed to stop Reina's crying and left the real estate office. On the way back, we had the misfortune of the chain on Reina's bike breaking. Oof. So we ended up walking the whole way back, pushing our bikes.
レナ、
I lined myself up beside Rena while pushing my bike and looked straight at her. She had finally stopped sobbing, but her eyes were swollen red and her soft, flushed cheeks were soiled with dirt splashed when her bike toppled. Oof.
元気出してほしいのですよ。
Easier said than done, Rika.
なんでかな。
After saying that, Rena stopped in her tracks. Keiichi and I stopped with our bikes about 3 steps afterwards and looked back at Rena.
レナ、お社様の言う通りにしたんだよ。リナさんのこと嫌いだったし、お父さんの再婚は大反対だったけど、お社様が嫌いになっちゃいけない、逃げちゃいけないって言うから我慢しようって決めたんだよ。それで幸せになれるって信じてたんだよ。レナ、圭一くんにもいっぱいひどいこと言ったんだよ。信じちゃいけないから。圭一くんの言うこと信じたら、またリナさんのこと嫌いになって、結婚を反対したくなるから。だから、傷つけることたくさん言って。ごめんね、ごめんね。きっと許してくれないけど、もう言わないでって。なのに。
Massive tears came pouring out of Reina's eyes like rainfall, dribbling down her cheeks and into the ground below. Seeing that reminded me of what Keiichi said earlier.
レナってさ、確かに一度思い込んだら意外に頑固なところがある。っていうより、自分自身でそう思い込んでいるところがあるよな。
So that's it. She was terrified of Orishiro-sama, but she didn't think anyone would believe her if she told them. That's why she snapped and went on the defensive. And now I understood. Rena was angry and struggling with her own internal dilemma, losing control of herself. But despite that, she felt enough guilt about it to directly apologize to me and Keiichi. So...
ああ、分かってたさ。
Keiichi approached Rena and stroked her head to comfort her as he said that, in a perfectly natural gesture.
あのさ、レナ。お社様は間違ってなかったと思う。ただ、それをレナが勘違いしていただけなんじゃないのか？たった今、レナが言ってたじゃないか。お社様はレナに嫌いになるな、逃げるなって。これ別に親父さんの結婚を賛成しろって意味じゃないと思う。
どうしてかな、
嫌いになるなってのは憎むなってこと。まあ正直俺も殺してやりたいくらいリナってやつが憎いけどさ、その存在を消したいくらい嫌いだって気持ちを強くするなってことだと俺は思う。
Ray and I both cried out at once. And then we stared straight at Keiichi.
逃げるなってのは多分そのまんまで問題を放置するなってことじゃないかな。本当に家族が大切なら戦え。リナに対してじゃないぞ。レナの親父さんとじっくり話し合うことも一つの戦いだしな。それが難しかったら信頼のできるやつと相談する。そういうことが言いたかったんじゃないかと俺は思うな。
Keiichi is surprisingly wise in this route, all things considered. Even compared to some of his other, what we see in some of the other story arcs. I gotta say, the god of this world has given this Keiichi an extra large brain, clearly.
ケイチ君。ケイチ。あの二人を殺すことは正しいことだと思ってた。でも、あの二人を殺した日から、もう世界はおかしくなっていたと思う。だということは、あの二人を殺すのは、正しいことじゃなかったのかな。
正しいかどうかは知らんが、最善手じゃなかったことは確かだな。
最善手って？
そんなこともわからないのかよ。
I grabbed Reina's head and embraced her. Then I told her. I told her something so simple. It was so simple that anyone could think of it. But Reina didn't do it. I didn't do it either, back then.
何かやばかったり、疑いそうになったり、辛いことがあったりした時はな。
It was so simple.
仲間に相談するんだよ。
そうだよね。そうだよね。
Rena cried in my arms for a while. She cried about the wrong choice she made at the very beginning. The choice couldn't have been hard to see. I'm sure it was something that was within her grasp. How stupid was it to worry about it by herself? She had friends. She had friends whom she trusted. Why did she think she couldn't talk to her friends about it?
思い出して欲しかったの。
Hanyu?
かつてに得たかけがえのない仲間たちへの信頼を頼りたいと思うことを誰も迷惑には感じたりしない。それに気づいて欲しかった。でなければきっと後悔するから。
Up until now, I've always considered my misfortune the curse of Orishiro-sama. And so, I vowed to believe and obey what Orishiro-sama told me. But the truth was actually something else entirely. I was just blaming everything on Orishiro-sama so I could brush off my pain. And it snowballed past the point it could be helped, so I became full of regret and resentment. That ultimately destroyed me.
そうだよね。そうなんだよね。
親父さんとちゃんと向き合ってみろよ、レナ。黙って相手の気持ちを思いやるレナもいいけど、心の底から幸せそうに笑ってるレナが俺は大好きだぜ。
ありがとう。ありがとう、ケイチくん。リカちゃん。
She nodded as she said that, then began sobbing again. But this time, her tears were different. They were warm.
あ、いたいた。
Hello, Mion.
おーい、ケイちゃん。
We all looked up at the voice calling out to us. Emerging from the shadows behind the distant hut, Mion was waving her arms and coming this way.
おお、お迎えご苦労。元委員長。
ドタマいたして、今、委員長殿。
Mion laughed as she gave me a very deliberate salute. And then she turned to Rena and gently placed a hand on her shoulder.
元気出して、レナ。あんたにそんな顔は似合わないよ。
みーちゃん。
さて、バッチャが待ってる。
Oh yeah? What does Granny want with us?
ついでにごちそうが山ほど待ってるよ。
ケイチくん、これ。
いや、さっき帰り道の公衆電話でな。高級旅館に1名、予約よろしくって。
Dang, he's just on top of everything, isn't he?
ついでにレナのお父さんにも連絡済み。久々に楽しく騒ごうよ。
They exchanged glances and silently nodded to each other as they said that. A feast and overnight stay at Mion's house? So they had this planned out from the start. I was completely taken aback by his amazing forethought. Keiichi, just how far are you willing to go to impress me? Careful, Keiichi. I have a feeling if you end up impressing Rika too much, she'll start falling head over heels for you too. And that could cause some very interesting problems. A smile finally emerged on Rena's face. Seeing that look of joy made it feel like all the stress of the day had washed away. We followed the road back to the shrine. I was riding my bike beside Keiichi. By the time we parted ways with Rena, the dimly lit surroundings were completely overtaken by the darkness of the night. The surrounding area was so quiet I could hear the loud reverberations of the generators that lit the dark ground.
レナの元気、戻ってくれるといいのですが。
大丈夫だよ。ミオンがきっと何とかしてくれると思う。一人だとろくな考えにならないけど、レナもミオンだったらいろいろと話しやすいだろうしさ。
さすがは婚約者なのです。
だから違うって。ほら、俺やリカちゃん相手だとレナとしてもやっぱりメンツってものがあるだろ。その点ミオンは年上だし、なんだかんだで親身に話を聞いてくれると思うからな。まあ金銭的な被害もそれほどなかったことだし、あとはレナ次第だ。
Keiichi smiled as she said that, as if to blow away all my worries. Not that long ago, I thought he was overly optimistic. But that's wrong. This is how much faith Keiichi has in his friends. You could learn from him, oh 1,000-year-old woman-child. Doing everything in his power to respond to the trust others place in him, but also without forgetting to place his own trust in others, and never underestimating them. In doing so, he makes others want to reciprocate that trust. I glanced at Keiichi beside me. Ever since I came to this world, I've been consistently surprised by Keiichi's remarks and actions. He's the Chad of this world! Even though my ability to read the future put me on the defensive, he encouraged me. He destroyed my pessimistic view of the future with nothing but the strength of his convictions and his ability to take action. Because he's a Chad! It wasn't the Keiichi of this world that told me fate is as flimsy as a thin sheet of paper. But deep down, I'm sure he's exactly the same as back then. However, That's why. I'm getting anxious. This dark feeling is proof that I still haven't fully begun to trust Keiichi and my friends. And that is why you fail. But it's not easy to set aside the unease I felt about what happened before. Understandable, but it is still why you fail.
ちゃんリカちゃん
み、
どうしたぼーっとして。大丈夫か
大丈夫なのですよ。ニパー。
I put on a smile as I answered him. Couldn't think of it. Feels like I've been smiling to hide my intentions a lot more often around Keiichi these days. No, not just around him. With all my friends.
そうかならいいんだけど。
み、
And like always, the self-hatred came rushing back to me. Because it feels like I'm forcing myself to play along. I already knew the underlying cause of that. It's because I've been feeling alienated from everyone. Even though I know the tragedy coming ahead, nobody else knows. And I really want to confess that, but I'm certain that everyone is completely oblivious to my suffering and hardship. Those depressing thoughts have been nagging at me. But for the time being, I've been smiling to keep the cynical side of myself hidden. I despise that version of myself. We continued in silence for a while, but eventually the stone steps of the Furude Shrine emerged from the darkness. I stopped my bike at the bottom of them and parked on the usual place. My bike lock was there, but I didn't bother using it. Even if my bike was stolen, in a village this small, it would be found and returned soon enough. Who would even want to try to steal your bike in this village of all places, is what I would want to know. And of course, the thief would receive a punishment fit for their crime. Bike for a bike?
それじゃあリカちゃん、また明日。
See you tomorrow, Chad Thunderstroke. Keiichi turned around on his bike as he said that. Even if it was a simple gesture, I couldn't help but see it strangely at the moment. So I...
待ってください、ケイチ。
ん？何リカちゃん。
ケイチ、一つだけ聞かせてください。
I'd already made it 4 steps up the stairs and was about to wave and say goodnight, but the words from deep in my heart suddenly came out.
ケイチ、あなたは誰ですか？
え？
I already told you. He's not Keiichi. He's Chad Thunderstroke. Keiichi froze and stared at me, looking bewildered. It was a completely unexpected question. I realized that. But even so, the thoughts came erupting out of me and wouldn't stop.
僕の知っているケイチはとても行動力と頭の冴えのある人でした。だからいつも一人で考え判断していろいろなことをやり遂げてくれましたが、その反面独断で動いて暴走して破滅することも多かったのです。少なくとも仲間をこれほど強く信頼して迷いもなく動けるような人ではなかったはずなのです。
リカちゃん。
確かにケイチは僕が時間を巻き戻すたび少しずつ成長して僕の前に登場してきてくれました。レナの暴走を自分の失敗と置き換えて心配し、最後は止めてくれました。 鉄平が里子を連れ去った時もそう。殺意に走ろうとした C たちを止めて、みんなを集めて役所に押しかけ、ついにはお涼を説得して里子を救い出してくれました。だから、あなたの優しくて強い心は信じてもいいかもしれない。でも、この世界のあなたは僕にとっては異常にしか見えないのです。
I already knew. I didn't understand why I was doing something so rude. But I knew very well that I was saying something unreasonable. Unlike me, Keiichi and the others didn't retain their memories. So it would only be confusing to tell him what he was like in a previous world. Even after everything Keiichi has endured, he can't be happy to hear me talking about him like a completely different person. And yet, despite how anxious I'm getting, how can he be so strong and stay so calm? It's so strange, and I can't understand it. But above all, I envy it. So, I just couldn't help but ask.
教えてください。何がこの世界のあなたをそこまで強くしたのですか？なぜ仲間たちの信頼をそこまで無条件に信じられるのですか？僕の知っている圭一はそんなに強い人ではなかった。だから時には疑ったり恐れたりして。
Keiichi remained still and listened to me closely. He wasn't smiling or getting upset. He was just listening quietly with a docile expression. Seeing Keiichi like that made me feel at ease, but also frustrated. Even though I recognized I was developing an inferiority complex, my heart just couldn't understand it.
Rika-chan.
Before long, as I stood stock still with my eyes dropped, Keiichi sat his bike down and walked up to me, then took something out of his back pocket and handed it over in slow motion. It was a talisman pouch. Inside was a round, hard, bead-like object.
Keiichi?
Keiichi looked up and nodded, with a gentle smile on his face. Recognizing he was giving me permission to see what was inside, I gently pulled it open and then rolled it onto the palm of my hand. Its dull luster shined silver when reflecting the moonlight. It was like a bullet from a gun. No, it's just in the shape of a bullet.
これは
見ての通り、モデルガンの弾だよ。
Toy guns from when you went on your rampages as a young boy, I assume. Keiichi had a lonely, bitter smile on his face as he said that.
ちょっとだけ真面目な話をしたいんだ。聞いてくれる？
僕はさっきまで真面目な話をしていたつもりなのですよ。
ごめん、間違えた。とにかく聞いてほしいんだ。いいかな？
I silently nodded to him. Then Keiichi began to speak slowly, like every single word squeezed at him.
ちょっと前に親戚の葬式で東京へ戻ったって言ったよな。
Yeah, I remember that being the thing that was mentioned at the very beginning of chapter 1, if I remember correctly.
実はもう一つ用事があったんだ。リカちゃんは俺の過去についてどれだけ知ってる？例えば東京で俺が起こした問題とか。そっか、やっぱり知ってるんだ。だったら説明はいいかな。実は最後に俺が撃った相手の家に俺は行ったんだ。親父もお袋も何度もやめておけと言ってくれた。金銭で示談も済んだ話だし、親同伴とはいえ一度は謝罪にも行った。 今さら蒸し返しても相手の感情を逆なでするだけだってね。でも俺が納得できなかった。結局俺は罪を犯したのに、それを償わなかったばかりか、贖罪を両親に肩代わりさせて、その陰に隠れるという卑怯を働いた。それがどうしても許せなくて、傷つけたたくさんの相手、その家族、そして俺の両親。今までの俺は誰の気持ちも全然考えたことのない、どうしようもないバカ野郎だった。そんな俺がたまらなく嫌で情けなくて、せめて親に被ってもらった本来の罪と責任だけは自分の手元に戻しておきたいと思ったんだ。思いっきりぶん殴られるつもりだった。会ってさえくれないとも覚悟していた。でも電車に乗って道を歩いて、勇気がどんどんなくなって、足が地面に吸い付くかと思うくらい重くなっていった。お金を払ったんだからいいだろう。警察にも捕まって示談も済んで納得してくれたんだからいいだろう。それに一度はちゃんと謝った相手なんだし、信号や交差点で立ち止まるたびに自分に言い訳して何度引き返そうと思ったかわからないくらいだ。それでもなんとか我慢して耐えて、自分の顔を何度も殴りつけて、ついにその家の前にたどり着くことができた。チャイムを鳴らした。ものすごく音が響いて心臓が凍るかと思った。インターホンに人の声がした時は何をどう喋ったらいいのかわからなくて、喉が震えて全身から力が抜けて、それでもなんとか声を振り絞って、前原圭一ですとインターホンの向こうで人の息を飲む声が聞こえた時はもう死にたいくらいだった。その後はどれだけ待ったか覚えていない。長かったかもしれないし、あっという間だったかもしれない。でも俺にとっては死刑宣告を待っているみたいに、いつまでもこの時間が続くんじゃないかって。そして結局ずっと待っていても終わりはないんじゃないかって。そんなくらいに長くて心細くて、全身から冷たい汗が止まらなくて、目の前がぐるぐるうねるように回り続けるような地獄の苦しみだった。そしたら信じられなかった。俺の願望が夢を見させているんだと思った。だって扉の向こうにいたのは忘れもしないその女の人だったんだから。その人を見た。包帯が取れていた。怪我が治っていたんだ。そう思うとそれだけが嬉しくて救われて申し訳なくて、もう何もまともに考えられなくて、俺は大声で泣いてしまった。その場にへたり込んで、もうわーわーとひたすら声を絞り出して、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさいって。その人に介抱されてからも、玄関の中に入れてもらった後も、それだけしかもう言葉が思いつかなくて、必死にそれだけを繰り返していたんだ。
それでどうなったのですか？
I've been carefully listening to Keiichi's story without interrupting, but I couldn't help but ask. I heard the story from Keiichi before. The girl was seriously injured. If everything could be settled peacefully with just an apology, we'd never need the police or the courts. But even so, Keiichi.
その人の親父さんには殴られる覚悟をしていたんだけど、殴られなかった。代わりに厳しく怒られて 諭されて、その方がむしろ答えたな。
Somehow he managed to overcome his past and had a calm smile on his face.
もちろん泣いて謝ったところで解決にはならないし、俺の犯した罪が消えるわけがない。でもその人が最後に言ってくれたんだ。あなたを許しますって。
According to Keiichi, the girl's parents didn't even want her to meet up with him. At first, she wanted to say terrible things to him and send him away too. Nevertheless, when she saw him desperately apologizing like that, she wanted to hear him out. And in the end, she started feeling better and even wanted to forgive him. Just based on what Keiichi said, I think I was able to understand how she felt. Keiichi was probably able to convey his honest desire to apologize to her, because rather than offering her flowery words, money, or valuables, he was speaking from the heart. If Keiichi had asked for forgiveness simply because his parents gave him money, she would never have forgiven him.
そして、それがその人の目を傷つけたモデルガンの弾だ。ずっと持っていたらしいんだけど、帰り際に俺に渡してくれて。
もう二度と誰も傷つけないと約束してください。そしてこの弾はその誓いとしてあなたが持っていてくれますか？
Does his voice sound familiar?
だから俺は誓ったんだ。もう二度とバカなことは考えない。俺のとんでもない悪さのおかげでたくさんの人が嫌な思いをした。だから俺はこれからは自分の周りの人たちのことを守って傷つけない人間で居続ける。そう決心したんだ。それが俺にできる贖罪だと思うからさ。
ケイチ。
I couldn't say anything. You and me both. At first I thought the Keiichi of this world was an aberration, but that wasn't the case at all. Quite the opposite. He faced the crime he committed, reflected on it, apologized, and accepted his punishment. He's here because he wants everyone to surmount the wall that drives them to run away. I can't do that. I can't be like him. I was overwhelmed with envy as I listened to Keiichi's story, and my excitement dissipated like mist, along with an indescribable feeling of defeat.
ケイチは偉いのです。ちゃんと逃げずに戦うことを選んだのですね。
Dark emotions nagged at my heart as I said that. You really are different from me. You're so kind, so strong. You're not a coward like me. So.
それは違うぞ、リカちゃん。
み、
俺は罪を償ったことで優しい気持ちと信頼する心の大切さを知った。でもそれを実現させてくれたのはリカちゃんなんだよ。
み、僕がですか？
ああ、覚えてくれてるかな。
Keiichi took a deep breath, then continued. My expectation that I couldn't be any more surprised was further betrayed.
リカちゃんはあの時言ってくれた。ケイイチを許しましょうって。かっこ悪かったよな、俺は。誰かに許してもらいたくて、自分の浅ましさから目をそらしたくて、慰めてもらおうと卑怯なことをした。でもリカちゃんはそれを全て分かった上で 俺を許すと言ってくれた。だから、傷つけた相手に謝りに行く勇気を持つことができたんだ。
ケイイチ、まさか。
It can't be. It's impossible. It must be coincidence. No, that can't be it. I'm certain I said that to Keiichi in a previous world. I want to believe it. I can't believe it. I want to believe it. I can't believe it. But I want to believe. Has there ever been a miracle like this before? Keiichi of that world, passed on those memories, and he has them now? So it would seem. How else would he be recalling all this stuff like we've been seeing throughout this entire arc so far? I could no longer see anything. I simply cried. I wanted to transform my sins into tears and squeeze them out of my eyes. But the tears coming out were not my sins. They were only tears of remorse over my irredeemable grief. Back then, I felt a pat on my head. When I opened my eyes, it was Rika-chan stroking my head with her hand. I don't need to be consoled. There's no way Rika-chan can comfort me over this. But then, Rika-chan spoke. And not just to comfort me.
ケイイチを許しましょう。ケイイチは自分で自分の罪に気づきましたのです。それはとても偉くて普通ではありえないことなのです。だから誰もケイイチの偉さがわからなくてそれを許してあげることはできませんのです。でも僕にはそれを許すことができます。僕にはケイイチの凄さがわかるのです。
リカちゃん。
私はこれが奇跡であることがわかる。だってこれはありえないことなのだもの。あなたが別の自分の罪に気づくなんて絶対にありえないこと。なのにあなたはそれに気づけた。それはきっとこの地上に具現するどんな奇跡すらも霞むほどのもので信じられないくらいに尊いもの。
あなたは逃げなかった。だから私は本心からあなたにそう言ってあげられたのよ。
あの時の言葉があったから俺はあの時もレナを救えたんだと思う。
We have the Keiichi of Chapter 6, and by extension, previous chapters in the main story arc with us. Rika is no longer alone on the memory train. Holy shit.
そしてこの世界でも自分の罪を償って救われてみんなへの信頼を強く持ち続けることができた。みんなリカちゃんのおかげなんだよ。
ケイイチ。
Keiichi, I think she's gonna need a hug in a good minute or two.
ありがとうなリカちゃん。そしてごめん、思い出すのが遅くなって。レナのあの姿を見るまでずっと忘れていた。
I couldn't speak. My throat was painfully clogged, and I couldn't control it. Is this a miracle? No way. Keiichi actually remembers what I told him back then?
あの時のお礼、今こそここでさせてもらえないかな。前は手伝えることがあればなんて言ったけど、今は違う。力になりたいんだ。自分が大嫌いだった俺を救い出してくれたリカちゃんが幸せになる方法を一緒に探させてくれないか。
ケイチ。
Keiichi stroked my head with a kind-hearted smile on his face. Looking at his gentle smile, I felt angry and embarrassed I was too cynical to honestly ask for his help. And above all, I was ashamed of myself for doubting Keiichi's goodwill.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい、ケイチ。僕はあなたにひどいことをたくさん言いました。ひどいことたくさん思っていました。あなたの優しさが怖くて信じられなくて。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
俺だってごめん。以前の世界ではいろいろとリカちゃんに迷惑をかけていたんだろう。
Understatement.
はっきりとは思い出せないけど、俺もさっきリカちゃんが言うようにみんなのことを疑って、結局勝手に自分を悲劇の主人公に置き換えて破滅したりしていたと思う。
I think tragic villain figure would probably be a bit more accurate. At least in the case of Chapter 3.
だから今度こそちゃんとやりたいんだ。俺は力になれるかな、リカちゃん。
はい。はいなのです。ケイチがいてくれるととても心強いのです。僕はこの世界で一人で戦わなくてはいけないと思ってずっと辛かったから。
リカちゃんは一人じゃない。ミオンもレナもサトコもシオンもみんな仲間だ。だから時期が来たら全てを話してみんなを巻き込んで戦おう。きっと打ち破れる。運命なんて金魚すくいの網と同じだからさ。
I don't think I've ever seen Rika this radiantly happy before in any of the other story arcs, and it's honestly quite endearing to see, not gonna lie. He said it again. He told me the same exact line again. Then I'll believe. I was worried about this world without Hanyu, no matter how much it could take a turn for the better. But as long as he's here, we might be able to manage somehow. No, I'm certain we'll be able to do it.
ケイチ。
リカちゃん。
I reached down from the top of the stone steps to touch Keiichi's cheek. Then, Keiichi took the hand that was rubbing my head and gently slid it down to my cheek, with a smile on his face. It was like a special handshake. Still, it was a sort of ritual where we recognized our mutual trust in one another.
ずっと秘密にしておこうと思ったこと、あなたには打ち明けます。だから救い出してくれますか。この無限に続く地獄の輪廻の監獄から僕と大切な仲間たちを。
ああ、もちろんだ。
Thank you. As soon as I said that, I let loose the words I'd been holding in my heart.
僕たちの敵はHinamizawaで起きているたたりはすべて人為的に起こされた陰謀なのです。
Then, I slowly began to tell Keiichi everything. About all the horrifying incidents and miserable circumstances I'd witnessed in the previous worlds. Alright, we're finally doing it. We're finally opening up. What will we do from here, I wonder? Uh-oh. The numerical tables being drawn inside my head were rapidly changing, like a swirling vortex. They incorporated all the artificial and natural elements around me, and when combined, they began pointing me in a specific direction. Now, choose. The god of fate gave me a finite number of options, and mercilessly pushed me to select one. My fingertips were trembling. They felt hot, yet somehow could also cold to the touch. A foul, tense sigh rose up through my throat as my chest painfully tightened. Has it been going on? Has this been going on a long time? Or was it only just a moment? I couldn't tell at all while trapped in this atmosphere of despair. A large volume of sweat came dribbling down my forehead and suddenly dripped down to my cheeks.
つーかさ、いい加減どっちか選びなよ、ケイちゃん。
Oh, it's something harmless. For a second there, I thought he took the revelations that Rika had to share with him not terribly well at all, but no, it's just probably some kind of club activity. Mion leaned forward and glared at me with a terrifying look on her face. I don't know. I've seen scarier. She was holding two brand new playing cards in her hand, with their backs turned toward me, like telling me to draw one.
さっきからブツブツブツブツ。何自分の世界にトリップしてるのさ。ほら、さっさと引く。これで泣いても笑っても最後なんだからね。
仕方ないだろ。これで天国と地獄が分かれるとなれば、誰だって時間をかけたくなるわ。
Well, if I end up picking the card and it ends up making me laugh hard enough to where I end up crying anyway, I mean, is there really any option for me to avoid crying at all? I wiped away my dripping sweat and stared at the cards held out to me once again. This is totally unrelated, but there's an expression, trickling wet, used to describe a breathtakingly handsome man. And yet, if you were to use the phrase trickling sweat to describe him, nobody would want to be near him. Yet both are equally moist. Interesting. A man being moist, you say? I don't know what kind of world you're a part, what kind of world this is, but it's a weird one. I focused on something absurd like that as a temporary escape from reality. This story began an hour ago. Do tell. After school, we had our classroom-scale club activities like usual, and Suguru, Okamura-kun, suggested a group-based Old Bachelor tournament. The rules were simple. We assembled into groups of 4 people. The top 2 winners in each group moved on to the final tournament, where we continued going through eliminations until only 1 person remained. Well, that's all fine. But the problem was, the usual punishment rules applied to all of the losers. The younger club members seemed to have no sense of moderation, so they suggested some of the most shockingly absurd penalties. Like... They whispered, challenge the principal to one-on-one combat and don't go down for 10 seconds. Was he a martial artist? They whispered, drink a whole glass of milk from a cat's bowl without using utensils. Ew. They whispered, chew peanuts with your eyes. What the fuck? Do humans in this world have teeth in their eyelids or something? What the actual fuck? Ultimately, the only original club members made it to the end, so the others were facing certain death in the classroom. At this point, Rena, Sadako, and Rika-chan had gone out too, leaving only Mion and myself. And then, Mion realized I had the 3 of diamonds in my hand, so she challenged me to an open reach duel. Open reach, meaning that the winner of the entire game would be decided by whether the card I draw here is the 3 of diamonds, or not. In other words, this long battle will finally come to an end the moment I make this choice.
さ、どっちかな、ケイちゃん。
It's do or die, Chad Thunderstroke.
早く選んでよ。
You can do this. I believe in you. Listen to that manly grunt. Doesn't it just ooze confidence? Mion had a fearless smile on her face as she shook the cards to provoke me. Don't let her provoke you. But the risk of losing and receiving a punishment is exactly the same for Mion. So where on earth is that confidence coming from?
ほらほら、ケイちゃん。後ろで亡者たちが呼んでるよ。
Ugh. As soon as she said that, I could hear the resentful voice of the damned coming from behind me. Wait, isn't that the voice of one of the younger students?
つうかお前ら面白愉快で百法な罰ゲームを考えるのは大いに結構だが、自分たちも引くことになるってことを考えて少しは手加減せんか。
I held my head and shot back at Daiki, Suguru, and the others behind me who had already fallen. Incidentally, the punishment Daiki drew was write a love letter confessing to the person you like. Oh, that's easy. Sounds like a letter sealed in blood. Don't be so dramatic. He's got his heart stomped by Sadako a mere 2 seconds after attempting this maneuver. Oh no. Oh. I'd give you a hug if I could, whoever you are. You're a brave, brave man to fall for the trap master. That's all I will say. A brave little man, but a man all the same. My sympathies. Utterly stomped. Suguru drew catch a fly with chopsticks, so he spent his entire time running around chasing a fly. When he realized it was actually a wasp, he ran like his life depended on it. And when he finally came back, he immediately sank to the ground. It certainly was a great opportunity to get to know the horrors of our club. It was a particularly exciting affair for the whole class. And yet they want to stay in it. This entire class is full of aberrants. Abnormals. Freaks! I wish I was part of a class like this growing up. But of course, that's all built on the assumption that it's happening to someone else. If those sparks of fire were drifting my way, there's no way I'd be laughing and... In fact, I'd probably want to cry.
ケイチ君早く引いてよ。もうレナこんな格好やだよ。お嫁に行けなくなっちゃうよ。
Dressed like what? Can I see? Rena had tears in her eyes as she scornfully urged me to hurry. Indeed, if the way Rena looked right now was a character sprite in a game, it'd definitely have to be censored. Now you're just making me curious! Son of a bitch! It was so extreme that I, who was, unfortunately, called a contender for the Nobel Prize for lewdness, was hesitant to even look straight at her as she said that. Oh yeah, you, Nobel Prize winner for lewdness, huh?
だったらもう見ないでよ。ケイチ君、後で絶対お仕置きだよ。
Who am I kidding? I'm probably pretty vanilla, all things considered. Well, even though public order and morals didn't permit to be displayed on screen, I can understand her desire to get changed right away. If I had to walk home with Rena the way she is now, I'd take her on quite a journey. Perhaps overseas. No, maybe even beyond the edge of the solar system. Oh, I'm gonna take you to Saturn with me! Actually, no, I should have said Mars, because men are from Mars. You're even in the Angel Mord outfit, I see.
この格好はあの時一度きりだったはずなのですよ。
Apparently not. Looks like you get to experience 2 lifetimes where this happens to you. Rika-chan was crying and hanging her head while dressed in an Angel Mort/school swimsuit costume. I had a hunch who submitted that request, but he had already fainted, so he couldn't even appreciate it. It's like that saying about a crafty schemer drowning in his own scheme, or being hoisted by your own petard, or being caught in your own trap. Or maybe just a little different. Incidentally, Sadako was still passed out after receiving her punishment from the semi-final game. Eat an entire plate of curry in front of Chi-sensei, who is currently banned from eating curry. Fucking shit! That must have been horrifying. Who thought up that Mission Impossible scenario? Yeah, I want to know who thought it up. I want to shake their hand.
アビと教官の演奏で死神とワルツを踊る地獄へようこそ、ケイちゃん。覚悟はいい？
Ready for you as I'm ever going to be, my beloved wife. Not laughing. Totally not laughing.
さあ、泣いても笑ってもこれが最後だよ。右と左、どっち？
I choose middle. Okay, so help me God. A man's gotta have fighting spirit! You're Chad Thunderstroke in this world, Keiichi. You don't need God to help you. God helps those who helps themselves. So, it doesn't matter, huh? Okay. I choose right.
善でも悪でもいい。俺に力を。
I offered a prayer to the Almighty God, then put all my strength into choosing a card, and I grabbed it. Might makes right, my dear beloved wife. Observe! And sure enough... Huh?
どったの、ケイちゃん。
Keiichi? What card did we pick?
いや、俺目が悪くなったのかもしれないなって。ダイヤの3のカードを引いたのに、でっかく真っ黒なスペードのマークが上に重なって見えるんだよ。
Oh. There's something very strange going on here. Seems like the thing right before my eyes shouldn't exist.
そういや最近結構慣れない仕事多くてきつかったもんな。大丈夫だと思ってたけど、やっぱ体は正直ってやつか。疲れがどっと出たのかもしれない。
あー、ケイちゃん？
No good. I won't be able to fulfill my duties as class rep like this. Come on, Keiichi. Pull yourself together. I massaged my temples and wiped my eyes with a handkerchief. I almost said chef for some reason. Handkerchief. Yep. With a handkerchief. Then took two long deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Then I took another look at the playing card in my hand.
おかしいな。
Once again, I could see a conspicuously huge spade mark on top of the 3 of diamond cards. Is this what they call an after image? Or a doppelganger? It's a lousy doppelganger. Or maybe... Ah, is it actually a case of Gestaltzerfall? What the hell is that? Gestaltzerfall. German for shape decomposition, or Gestalt decomposition, is a type of visual agnosia, a psychological phenomenon where delays in recognition are observed when a complex shape is stared at for a while as the shape seems to decompose into constituting parts. You know, now that I think about it, I think I remember coming across something like this in my current playthrough of Chaos at Noah. In plain terms, if a subject reads or hears the same term over and over, that term ceases to have any meaning. With regards to kanji, a study has shown that delays are most significant when the characters are of the same size. When characters to recognize are of different sizes, delays are observed only when they are of different patterns. Interesting.
ケイちゃん、現実を直視したくないって気持ちはほんのちょっとだけわかるけど。
You calling me delusional, wife husbando?
それ、スペードのエース。
嘘だ嘘だ嘘だ
God fucking damn it. Apparently, in this instance, might doesn't make right. Or is it right not making might? Ah, forget it.
お前は嘘を言っている
Yeah, I'm with him. You're lying!
でもスペードのエースだよ。不幸の象徴なのです。
Really? I thought a spade was supposed to be fortuneness, or if that's even a word. Incidentally, Sayaka was still passed out. Rika! Get a twig and poke her!
どう見てもスペードですね、ケイちゃん。
And where have you been? Rena and Rika-chan, and even Shion, who had apparently just arrived, well, I guess answers that question, all acted like I was delusional. You just arrive and you just automatically assume, oh hey, he's being delusional. Fuck you, sister-in-law. Why? Why can't they see it? Can't you guys really not see the 3 of diamonds engraved on this playing card?
いやー、これがダイヤの3に見えたらむしろその時こそケイちゃんを病院に連れて行くけどね。眼科と精神科に。
違うみんな騙されてる騙されてるぞ俺は確かにダイヤの3をゲットしたんだ
Well, we may be making a complete fool of ourselves in front of the rest of the class, Mr. Class Rep, but you know what? Screw dignity. I can place my dignity on hold for a minute and be as indignant as you are. But in a modern nation governed by laws, like Japan, decisions are made based on popular vote. Oh, what? So okay. Never mind. I was gonna say something, but never mind. And so, Mion was declared the victor, and me, the loser. In the middle of that commotion, I didn't even notice as Mion secretly transferred the 3 diamonds from her pocket to a pile of cards with an innocent expression on her face. You couldn't beat me in a fair fight! Why, my beloved wife? I thought you were supposed to be a member of the fairer sex. What about what you just did here seems fair, if you don't mind my asking? Huh? My beloved wife? That the village wants me to marry? Eh?
まだまだ爪が甘いね、部長さん。
Fuck you.
さて、お待ちかねの罰ゲームを引いてもらおうかな。
Mion shook the box full of paper scraps of punishments written on them. She looked so happy, so energetic and full of life. Does human misery taste like honey to her? No, just ours.
さあ、引いたんさい。
See, Keiichi, we haven't even gone through the beginning ceremonies yet, and already we're already like an old married couple. We are literally feeding off of each other's misery and reveling and relishing in it, or at least she is. Isn't marriage grand?
ほれ、引いたんさい。そら、そら。
ミオン、覚えてろよ。
いやー、ルーズドッグの声が心地いいね。あ、ちなみに私の書いた罰ゲームはまだみたいだから、引いたら頑張ってね。
Punishment Mion thought of. How horrifying. I'm afraid to even think about it.
先にどんなやつがあるのか聞いてもいいか。
Well, if I am going to be your boy toy for all of eternity, or at least until death do us part, I think I deserve to at least know that much, don't you think?
例えばね、獅子骨郷土料理、ヤゴウチうま煮を完食とか。
What's in the stew?
ヤゴウチうま煮？
It's a dish I never heard of. Ah, so it's a mystery stew, huh? Come to think of it, the quarry for the dam construction project was located in a place called Yaguchi. The villagers once told me it's located in the windward direction from Hinamizawa. They used to spray pesticides via helicopters launched from there.
あそこって昔はよくヤマメが釣れたんですよね。
Okay, I'm gonna do something here. I am going to... Wait, I don't want to save. Yeah, I'm going to reload. I'm going to see what the other option is. Because I'm assuming it's just going to lead me to the same damn little segment right there, regardless. So... let's just check.
善でも悪でもいい。俺に力を！
Maybe instead of might makes right, might makes left this time. Maybe she won't magically cheat if I choose left. Maybe she'll show me. Maybe she'll actually be act like a member of the fair sex. Yeah, I don't believe she's going to. I offered a prayer to the Almighty God, then put all my strength into choosing a card, and grabbed it. And sure enough.
どったのケイちゃん。
いや、俺目が悪くなったのかもしれないなって。ダイヤの3のカードを引いたのに、でっかく真っ黒なスペードのマークが上に重なって見える。
It's this freaking spade! It's the same goddamn thing!
そういや最近、結構大丈夫だと思ってたけど、疲れがどっと。
あー、ケイちゃん？
Okay, so...
俺で、馬にと聞くと普通っぽく聞
Yeah,
こえるが。
okay, so... got that curiosity out of the way. There's really no difference whatsoever. It's somehow just the same damn card. Well, Mion, since you've shown clear proof, clear definitive proof that you are indeed not fair, despite allegedly being a member of the fair sex, I think I will take the title of wife in this relationship from here on out, and let you be the breadwinner, be the big muscle around the house, be the tire changer whenever the car's tire pops, be the man. Because I mean, hey, you always call yourself an old man, don't you? Then be a man. Show your wife how to be manly. I'm waiting. Okay. Villager, back in the old days, they used to catch a lot of matsu trout over there. But nowadays, not a lot of people go there. So when I hear stew, it sounds like something completely normal.
一体どんな郷土料理なんだ？
文字通りヤゴの味噌煮込みが入ってる。
食えるかそんなもん。
ちなみにヤゴはトンボさんの幼虫なのです。
Oh my lord, that does not sound good. Rika-chan was kind enough to explain for everyone around us. She said like she was looking to a camera, but I could have done it without that kind of footnote. Well, on one hand, there's no one hand. Just thanks for the knowledge, Rika. I appreciate you. Even though I'm feeling really bad for Chad Thunderstroke here.
何言ってんのさ。イナゴとかハチノコとかの料理前に出した時はケイちゃんもなかなかって食べてたじゃん。
Can I go to a family court and file for divorce even though we haven't actually gotten married yet? Claim that I'm a victim of spousal abuse? That my spouse is feeding me unedible food without my knowledge or consent? Surely I can make some kind of legal case out of this, right? Even in Japanese courts. Like, I'm no expert on marital law in Japan or anything. Not by a freaking long shot. But surely even they would draw the line at something like this, right? Even if the so-called member of the fair sex over here belongs to a damn Yakuza group. Surely they would still step in and save me. Right? Right?
あれと同じだよ。
虫だって教えられたのは食った後だったけどな。
After hearing all that, my appetite vanished in an instant. I'd like to praise myself for not running straight into the bathroom. At least you still have that bit of thunderstroking in you, Mr. Chad.
大丈夫だよ、ケイチ君。レナのもまだ残ってるんだから。
それは喜ぶところなんだろうか。
I turned my eyes toward Rena, who said that to try and comfort me. Rena had been feeling out of it for a while since that incident, but she was finally getting back to normal by following Mion's lead. Well, that's nice. But Rena's punishment is still in there, so what could it be?
レナの考えたやつってどんなのとか？
聞きたい？
Not really, but also yes. Ugh. Behind Rena's smile, I sense a terrifying and dangerous glow in her eyes. Correction, that's pretty much completely back to normal. She's pretty much completely back to normal. Yeah, I'm in trouble.
遠慮します。
そう？残念だね。でも楽しみだね。
Fun for who exactly? Because I doubt it's gonna be me. Please, God. No matter how bad my luck is, let Rena's punishment remain hidden away forever. And by the way, Sako is still passed out. Will somebody please check on her, at least? Confirm that she's still alive?
僕の考えた罰ゲームも残っているのです。ミパー。
リカちゃん、それ以上何も言わないでくれ。
I could imagine it without hearing anything more. If I pull hers, I'll end up holding a grudge against everything in the world. Oh, so does her punishment have the potential to turn you into a JRPG villain, Keiichi? The kind that likes to destroy the world? Just because sad, tragic backstory? Now that'd be interesting to see.
まあそういうわけで覚悟はいい？
Even though my gut was telling me to run away. No, I'm a man. You're not a man, Keiichi. You're the man! Oh, great. There we go. So, I put my hand into the box and grabbed the first piece of paper I found. Then I pulled it out without hesitation. And then...
何？
すまん。 読んでくれ。
Oh dear.
恐ろしくて読めそうにない。
Oh dear. I trembled and turned away as I held it up to Mion. Not much of a man after all. And to think I'd been calling you Chad Thunderstroke throughout this whole episode so far. You bring me shame, boy.
まったく大げさだね。
You deserve the relationship you're trapped in, and the abuse that comes with it. I will not save you. God certainly won't.
命取られるわけじゃないんだからそんなに。
Well, is it lethal?
どうした？
Okay, seriously, what is it? Is someone going to try to does someone want Keiichi to glue his mouth to his ass and make a donut out of himself or something? Like, what is it? The moment Mion unfurled that twice-folded note, she tensed up and froze in place.
みーちゃん
And it seems like she had started moving again, but little by little her body began trembling.
みー
これ書いたの誰？
The air within the classroom shattered under the force of Mion's high-pitched, rage-filled roar. But when she noticed the way everyone was staring at her, she came back to her senses, and her face turned as red as an octopus.
どうしたのみーちゃんなんて書いてあるの？
いやこれは
Well, am I gonna be an Ouroboros or what? Or donut or whatever you want to call me.
まあケイちゃんには厳しすぎるからノーカウントってことで。
In all due seriousness, this has got to be something truly heinous if it's enough to make Mion, of all people, want to consider showing mercy to him. Especially considering that this club's motto is, when it comes to punishment games, is you go through them no matter what. Seriously, what the hell is it? Mion rushed to hide the note behind her back, and she let her shoes squeak as she immediately scrambled back toward the wall. What on earth is written there?
富田、岡村
Are you the little shits that have made this note?
了解です。
No, you're just fetching it, aren't you?
こらあんたたち
As soon as Shion waved her finger, Daiki and Suguru split left and right and moved around behind Mion. Jump out the window, Mion! And then they swiped the note from that Mion was slickly trying to tear behind her back, then quickly ran back to Shion and respectfully handed to her. Should've jumped out the window, Mion!
いつの間にしおんさん富田さんと岡村さんを子分みたいに教育なされたのかしら？
Since the plot demanded it, obviously. Keep it together, Sadako. And hey, when did you regain consciousness?
みー、さとこ、ようやく復活したのですか。なんか面白そうな気配を感じましたので、読み字より前戻ってきましたわ。
Note to self. In order to arouse Sadako from unconsciousness, do something amusing within a 6-foot radius of her. Duly noted. Too bad this one didn't sleep forever.
何え好きな子と1日デートレポート必須閉じ
Are you fucking shitting me? You hype it up and this is what it is?! You sons of bitches! Anticlimactic doesn't even begin to describe this. At least for me. Everyone in the class exploded in a roar that I seriously thought might shatter the windows. Wait a minute. Go on a... Oh, I see now. They're all gonna think that the person that he likes is Mion. So, this thing will basically require them to go on an actual date and then report it to the entire class. Oh. I take it back. I take it back. This is actually quite devious. Not gonna lie. Oh, yeah. Please let that be it. Please, I beg you. I could use a good laugh. Or several. Go on a date with the person you like? Who is that supposed to be? I'm not that sort of guy, am I? Yeah, you're the kind of man who doesn't need love, right? You're a playboy. You only need to occasionally get your rocks off whenever the mood strikes you, and then you go about your business. Love is beneath you. Right, Keiichi? Everyone's eyes were focused on me. And then, their eyes slowly turned towards someone else. Toward Mion! Yes! Yes! And when their eyes turned back toward me again, everyone was grinning and giving me a thumbs up! Alright, Keiichi, this is your chance to get sweet revenge against this cheating little wench. Give her a date that she'll never forget, and then gloat about it to your underlings here in the club. Come on, man. Show me that you still have hope to become a real Chad.
絶対みんな誤解してるぞ。なんだその笑顔。なんだそのグッドサインは。
What kind of hand signals? Any involving circles? Actually, I should probably not say that.
院長と元院長がデートだって。
すっげえ。さすが院長。やっぱ俺たちとは違うよな。
Well, I will certainly agree with you on one thing, dear boy. My date is indeed quite a specimen. Everyone in the class, boys and girls alike, were running wild with cheers of joy and longing sighs.
ケイチ君とみーちゃんがデートだよ。どんなのだろう。
Just show me what I am not seeing!
ついにケイチさんも年貢を納める時がやってまいりましたわね。ここは覚悟を決めてしっかりとエスコートして遊ばせ。
What do you mean yearly dues? Rena and Sadako both had bright red faces as they violently shouted to cheer me on. No, I'm begging you. Please stop. Who on earth thought up this punishment? Just considering the gender relations in the class. Isn't this an unsafe card even if someone else were to draw it? And apparently everyone had their sights set on Mion and me. Seriously?
リカちゃん。
It was you. You drew this card. Wrote this card, didn't you?
この罰ゲームはひょっとして。
みぱ
No doubt about it. This old tanuki of a girl knowingly committed this crime. Besides, it's just a date. But they're going wild like this is poking a beehive?
あら、ケイチさん。女の子と遊びに行くのはご経験が終わりで？
Well, not that kind of experience, but in the unfair fair sex lady's own words, she is an old man. So, can I really get any actual experience going on a date with Mion? Like, let's be real here. Think about this logically for a second, will you?
経験も何もお前らと毎日しょっちゅう遊んで大騒ぎしてるだろうが。
まあ、そうでございますが、二人きりでのデートは？
Well, I went treasure hunting at the trash heap with Rena. Yeah, that was just the two of us. I wouldn't call that a date, personally. Well, I went to the toy store with Shion, and our arms crossed. Closer, but not quite. When I went shopping with Sadako, and we ate dinner together. No, that's just making and eating food. Don't think too deeply about it. And with Rika-chan, if you really think about it, well, yeah. Well, to be fair, you did impress her enough to the point to where you made her go all googly and teary-eyed on you. So, make of it what you will, I guess.
ケイちゃんって結構遊び人なんですね。
Oh, he wishes.
ねえ、ひどいやつなのです。
And you're relying on this terrible person to help save yourself, me, and everybody else. Maybe you're the terrible person. Maybe you at the very least have a terrible sense of judging other people. I know there was a better way I could have said that, but whatever.
考えてみれば、私たちこれまでとんでもない人と遊んでいたのかもしれませんわね。
Well, is it though? Is it really? Are any of you guys genuinely feeling outraged by this?
ケツだよ、ケイチ君。
Silence, trash lady. Wait, hold on. They're all scornfully glaring at me!
でも考えてみれば、お姉と二人っきりってのはなかったようですね。
I can probably think of a few examples throughout the various arcs where that happened. Actually, wait, no, they only have memories of this one. I think. Maybe. I don't know. Now that they mention it, even though we've hung out together so many times, I can't think of a single one-on-one situation like that. What did that mean?
おめでとう、みーちゃん。初デートだよ。
お姉？おーい、生きてますか？お姉ってば。
Good going, not Mion. Rika, you killed Mion. I hope you're proud of yourself. And here you were acting like Takano would be the most lethal threat towards our own lives we'd have to deal with. But the truth of the matter is, it is you who is the most lethal threat around. You kill people by just writing slips of paper. Shion called out to her several times, but Mion showed no reaction.
まったく。初デート、嬉しくないんですか？
Not when Cupid is the one that's moving things along, no. And then, a wisp of wind blew in through the slightly open window. Oh, what the hell? In that moment, Mion burst into a profuse nosebleed that made me try to say it was too exaggerated, and tumbled to the ground like a mannequin. She made a loud thud as she hit the ground beneath her. Yeah, I think we can easily conclude that she, deep down, has zero objections to this little date whatsoever. Let's be real, shall we?
これで2度目ですか。最近よくヒューズが切れますね。
Don't you mean blowing blood vessels in this case?
一体誰のせいだよ。
After saying that, the club members all turned their eyes at once, like they knew where the wind was blowing from. Shit. There's a breaking wind joke in here somewhere. In the end, we couldn't leave her laying on the classroom floor like that, so we brought her to the nurse's office. And with Sensei's permission, we set up a bed to lay her down on. The old man must look so peaceful, sleeping right now. How lucky of him. At least for now, things seem to have calmed down with Mion peacefully asleep. It was kind of amusing to see her with a nosebleed stain, but since she's a girl, I'll pretend I never saw it. What, are women not allowed to get anime nosebleeds, Keiichi? Now that's a form of gender discrimination I simply will not abide by. I think men and women both should be allowed to get horny in equal measure.
それにしてもリカ、とんでもない仕込みをしていたものですがね。聞いたら面白いと思っていたのですが。
Of course, how the two sexes choose to express said horniness, that's another matter entirely, as far as I'm concerned. But feeling horny? Men and women both should be allowed to feel horny in equal measure, like I said. I will not tolerate anyone who claims otherwise.
本当に本人が引くとまでは思っていなかったのですよ。
I bet Hanyu had a hand in this somehow.
そうだよね。全部合わせたら100以上はあったはずなのに、その中の一つを引き当てるなんてすっごい幸運だよね。
Like I said, I think Hanyu might have had a hand in this somehow. Would it be excessive to say it was actually unlucky?
とりあえず、ケイちゃん、私たちはこれで帰りますから、あとよろしくお願いしますね。
For what exactly?
お前ら帰るのかよ。せめてミオンが起きるまでは。
お邪魔虫は退散でございますわ。
Don't you mean a fly on the wall, Sadako? After saying that, Shion and the others made their way out of the nurse's office. And in the end, right as Rika-chan was about to close the door, our eyes met and she lightly tilted her head.
どうしました？ケイチ。
You're what's wrong with me. You put me in this predicament. It's all your fault. You can't stop being Cupid for 1 minute.
あのさ、リカちゃん。
I felt a little something tugging at my heart, so I decided to ask Rika-chan about it.
運命は決まってるって前に言ってたよな。リカちゃんがあのカードを仕掛けたってことは、ひょっとして俺が引くことも決まっていたのか？さ
あ、どうなのでしょうか。
The smile tells me yes. Rika-chan mischievously tilted her head to the side and quietly chuckled. I couldn't hide my confusion, but then she finally spoke up with her eyes facing down.
確かに僕はあのカードを圭一に引かせたいと思いましたのです。
You're a perverted old woman, forcing me to go through this.
でも100枚以上の中から引き当てたのは他でもないあなたの力。
A perverted 1,000-year-old woman in a small child's body! That's what you are!
それは偶然でも必然でもない。あなた自身が呼び寄せた強い縁なんだと思いますのです。
You're the 1,000-year-old vampire, but without the vampirism!
絵にし
僕も運命はあらかじめ用意されたものだとずっと思ってきました。でもあなたを見てきた今ならそれは違うとはっきり言えますのです。きっと運命は人の意志の結晶のようなものだから、強い思いは時として周りの人さえも巻き込んで流れを大きく変えてしまうのかもしれません。
リカちゃん、
ありがとうなのです、ケイチ。
Then, Rika-chan raised her head and looked up at me. Her face looked bright, cute, and very happy. And I'm sure that's no hallucination.
大切なことを気づかせてくれて、もうちょっとだけ早くあなたと会いたかったのですよ。
Once the door closed, the room suddenly fell quiet, and I couldn't help hearing the sound of Mion breathing in her sleep. Her chest was faintly moving up and down. Staring at the memories, are we, boy? I suddenly started feeling awkward and stood up, then walked over to the window. The dazzling summer sun was pouring down, and the green hue of the trees was shining. I could see the other students out in the schoolyard, heading home after finishing club activities. Their lively cheers and shouts transmitted their warm enthusiasm to me.
運命か。
I suddenly remembered what Rika-chan told me about the worst possible future and the true identity of our enemy. To be completely honest, I still can't be sure it's going to happen until I see it with my own two eyes. And why is Rika-chan repeating this same time period over and over, with all kinds of memories? And even though I do remember bits and pieces of my past memories, I still don't understand why. According to Rika-chan, I still haven't recovered my memories of the previous world, where we learned the identity of our enemy. So, even though she told me the enemy is that nurse, Takano-san, nothing has come back to me. But there's an organization called Tokyo, connected to the Irie Institute, and some endemic disease called Hinamizawa syndrome. Given how serious and sincere Rika-chan was when she told me that, I think I can trust her word. And thanks to her, we were able to prevent the misfortune that might have befallen Sadako and Rena. That alone was enough to make me thankful that Rika-chan shared her secret with us. But it's not over yet. It's just like Rika-chan said last night. The real battle hasn't even begun.
でも本当に俺たちは勝てるんだろうか。
Not with that attitude, we can't. We gotta be certain in victory. If we're certain, victory is assured. No, I should have said victory will be certain if we are certain. God damn it, I fucked that up. If it's as Rika-chan says, the enemy targeting her is both cunning and extremely powerful. Definitely not an enemy we can overcome with a simple brute force approach. We'll have to fight carefully, and the proper way to forestall this foe. And when that time comes, we'll definitely need to depend on the strength of our ever-reliable club members. Don't forget Akasaka now. Well, Rika-chan told me it's best to wait quietly for now, so this isn't the time to take action. So, I pulled myself together and stopped dwelling on it. It's fun to think about the intent behind people's words and actions. But if you go too far, it can make you anxious or distrusting. Even a simple action can make you feel overly sensitive. For example, if I were to see something lurking behind every casual act of goodwill, I'd start to see everyone around me as malicious. I'd be astonished to not have any good friends at my side. Of course, as I am right now, I'd never do that. But I do have some memory of another version of myself doing just that and getting lost in a dead end, and ultimately destroying myself. I've seen it in my dreams. When I look back at the me from back then, I say to myself, don't repeat your past mistakes.
ケイチ、あなたを許します。
Rika-chan's words back then did so much to put my heart at ease. So, when she came to me asking for salvation, I made her a promise. I'll believe her. Because it's not just anybody who told me this. It's Rika-chan. Finally come back from the road of Hades too, have we? I heard a sigh coming from the bed and turned toward Mion. She had just woken up and was still in a daze, absent-mindedly looking up at the ceiling.
あれ、ここ。
おお、起きたか。ブレーカー落ち娘。
ケイちゃん？あれ？
いきなり気絶するとはな。漫画じゃあるまいし、びっくりさせるなよ。
いや、ごめん。
She sounded embarrassed as she said that, and she lifted the covers up past her nose in an attempt to hide the bright red look on her face. Careful with that blood pressure now. You don't want to make your nose bleed again, do you? After that sudden cutesy gesture, our desperate one-on-one battle just a little while ago felt like a lie.
何よ。なんで笑うのさ。
いや、ほんと面白いやつだよな、ミオンってさ。毎日付き合っていて飽きないぜ。
なんかバカにされてる気がする。
You made a mockery out of me by cheating with that card game, so tit for tat, bitch.
ケイちゃん嫌い。もう帰れ。
No, you suck.
帰っていいのか？
I'm just a victim of circumstance, which you indirectly caused with your misspeaking to the old men.
じゃあ帰るぞ。
Mion sulkily turned away as she said that. I shrugged my shoulders in exasperation and walked over to the bed. Sensing that signal, Mion squirmed over to the corner of the bed, and I struggled to hold back my laughter as she curled up and turned her back toward me. Then I spoke.
あの罰ゲームだけど。
I could tell just looking. Mion reacted to that with a full-body jump. This is fun. Too fun. That's right, boy. Vengeance time. Milk this for all it's worth.
別にそんなの私じゃなくてもシオンとかレナでも構わないでしょ。
Oh, really now? You would be fine with him going out on a date with Shion, huh? I seem to explicitly remember in chapter 2, specifically, how upset you seemed to be when you caught Keiichi and Shion going out on a date. Or am I just misremembering that little detail?
あの子たちの方が楽しいし面白いんだしさ。
Oh, please, don't undersell yourself. You may be a cheater. But hey, you're not boring.
まあそうだけど。
そうだよ。私でなくってもさ。
Ah, she's looking depressed. Is she really being honest here? Anyway, with Mion and stubborn Moan like this, I'm sure she wouldn't agree even if I forced her to hang out. In which case, maybe.
なあミオ。
何？
それはともかくとして、今週の日曜日さ、図書館。
図書館？
Mion suddenly looked up at me with a vacant expression.
お前、これから受験勉強に専念するんだろ？だったら、いい参考書とかあるから、一緒に勉強しないか？俺も今度の定期試験の準備しておきたいからさ。
別に、そんなの、一人でも。
受験を甘く見るなよ。ポイント絞ってやらなきゃ、下手すりゃ全教科書けませんでした。無条件降伏。なんてことがあるんだからな。俺の知ってる園崎美音は上昇腐敗、向かうところ敵なしのすげえやつなんだ。
Except by me.
それなのに勉強しか脳のないガリ勉野郎どもにたかが受験程度で負けて帰ってくるなんて俺は絶対に認めねえぞ。
ケイちゃん。
日曜11時沖宮図書館前。ミオンが来なくても一人で勉強やってるから。でも待ってるからな。
Mion abruptly turned back this way and stirred slightly. Somehow it seemed like she was starting to nod when she turned this way, but I didn't dare to ask her anymore. Even if she doesn't confirm it here, I'm sure Mion will come. At least I think so. Just then, I could hear the chimes coming from the principal's office in the distance. It was already time to leave school.
もう帰んなきゃだね。
Mion got up as she said that. She was waking up, but she was still a little shaky. Still, she should be back to normal in a little while.
大丈夫か？お前のカバンも持ってくるからそのまま待ってろよ。
あ、ケイちゃん。
Mion called out to me just as I reached the door of the nurse's office. I looked back with a "what is it" expression, and our eyes met. She whispered something with a complex, somewhat shy look on her face. And then she muttered something.
ありがとう。
え？悪い。よく聞こえなかった。
なんでもない。じゃあ待ってるね。
Mion waved her arms as she said that and smiled. For the time being, I just tilted my head instead of saying anything, then opened the door and went out into the hallway.
ああ、そうそう。ミオン。
何？
どういたしまして。
You heard her. Boom! Mion turned bright red and steam came rising out. I smiled at that, and then headed back to the classroom. I could hear Mion angrily shouting, "Baka!" from behind me, and I spit out a huge laugh I'd been holding in. Atta boy. Teach her a lesson! Get your woman back in line. The sunset coming in through the windows dyed the wooden hallway in red. I hope it's sunny this Sunday. I was about to say it. I hope it's Sunday this sunny. With those thoughts in mind, I rushed toward the classroom. Well, this episode has been surprisingly engaging in more ways than one. Not gonna lie. I had fun. Unfortunately, though, I think it's time for me to bring this episode to a close, and we will come back to whatever shenanigans that we will be getting ourselves into here at the Okonomiya Library in the next episode. So, he remembers. He remembered not completely, but bits and pieces of his past lives from the previous story arcs in the main story. And now he also knows that, at least through Rika, that Takano is their enemy. And well, it's starting to look more and more certain that in this particular world, Keiichi and Mion bumping pelvises together and making babies is probably going to become much more likely at this point. God help the world God save the world from whatever hellspawn those two end up conjuring up from between their loins. The world's gonna need one hell of a savior, I'll tell you that much. Or maybe their union could end up creating the hero, the sort of heroes that the world needs but doesn't deserve. Too bad I'm probably never going to find out the answer to that. But hey, it's fun to think about all the same. So, with that being said, I hope all you guys enjoyed this latest episode of the Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.